Okay, it is 5:30, so the Norfolk Public School District's Board of Education meeting is called to order. We'll begin with roll call.
Terry Bauer.
Present.
Cindy Booth called a little while ago. She is very ill and is unable to make it. Brenda Carhart.
Present.
Tom Stanton.
Present.
Sandy Wolf.
Present.
We do have 4 members present, so we do have a quorum to open the meeting.
Thank you. Would somebody like to excuse Cindy?
I'll make a motion to excuse Cindy tonight.
Second the motion.
We have a motion by Tom and a second by Terry. Is there any discussion? Please vote.
We are going to do a roll call vote since we don't have the new members in the system.
Terry Bauer.
Yay.
Brenda Carhart. Yes. Tom Stanton.
Aye.
Sandy Wolf.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Can you get your computer going? This is a legal meeting of the Board of Education as advertised by the means specified in board policy. A complete copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the boardroom for your review. A copy of the agenda is available at the desk of the recording secretary. Please join us and stand as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. We are now going to administer the oath of office to our incoming board members, Steve McNally and Patty Goobles. Please stand. If you want to read, you can. Would you like to raise your right hand? I
Patty Goobles.
Steve McNally.
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
of America
and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely and without mental reservation or for purpose of evasion, and that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of the office of school board member of Norfolk Public Schools according to law and to the best of my ability. And I do further swear that I do not advocate, nor am I a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence, and that during such time as I am in this position, I will not advocate nor become a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence, so help me God.
Congratulations and welcome to the Norfolk Public Schools Board of Education. And thank you, Sandy, for your service. I'm sure you'll run home and watch us on TV. So we will do roll call again with our new members. Terry Bauer.
Present.
Cindy Booth is still ill. Brenda Carhart. Present. Dr. Patty Goobles.
Present.
Steve McNally. Present. Tom Stanton.
Present.
So we have 5 members present. We do have a quorum. And I suppose we should go ahead and have another motion to excuse Cindy.
I'll make a motion to excuse Cindy Booth from tonight's board meeting.
Second that motion.
Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, at this point, we will entertain a motion for board president.
I'll make a motion for Brenda Carhart to be president.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion for Brenda Carhart. Are there any other motions? If not, we could go ahead and read the exact motion at the bottom there.
I move that Brenda Carhart be elected as board president to serve a term of 1 year or until the person's successor is elected and qualified.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Congratulations, Brenda, and you can take over from here on.
Need a nomination for vice president of the board.
I'll make a motion to nominate Tom Stanton as vice president of the Norfolk Board of Education.
I'll second the motion.
It has been motioned and in second for, would someone like to read the recommended motion? Sorry, we didn't do it exactly.
Move that Tom Stanton be elected as vice president to serve of a term of 1 year or until the person's successor is elected and qualified.
Someone second that motion?
I'll second it again.
Any discussion or any other nominations? Then please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Congratulations, Tom Stanton. Move on to discuss and consider and take action to approve the 2025 board treasurer.
Thank you. It is customary for the district's Director of Business Services to serve as board treasurer. Therefore, I recommend that you appoint Mr. Eric Wilson to serve as the 2025 board treasurer. Board Policy 8130 specifies that the motion to elect officers should state, I move that blank be elected as board treasurer to serve a term of 1 year or until the person's successor is elected and qualified.
I move that Eric Wilson be elected as board treasurer to serve a term of 1 year or until the person's successor is elected and qualified.
I'll second the motion.
It's been motioned and in second. Is there any other discussion or nominations? And please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the 2025 board secretary. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. It is customary for the district superintendent to serve as the board secretary. Therefore, I would recommend that you appoint me as your 2025 board secretary.
I move that Dr. Thompson be elected as board secretary to serve a term of 1 year or until the person's successor is elected and qualified.
I'll second that.
Is there any other nominations or discussions?
I just have a question. Did we change this last year?
The next item will be to appoint a recording secretary, which will be Callan, who actually takes all of the minutes. So I do some of the signings on checks and that type of things, but she does the hard work of taking the minutes.
Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Appointments of committees, positions, and designations. 7.1, Dr. Thompson.
One of the duties assigned to the administrative assistant to the superintendent and Board of Education is to serve as the recording secretary of the Board of Education. Therefore, I recommend that Callan Collins be appointed as the recording secretary for the Board of Education.
I move to approve Callan Collins as the recording secretary of the Board of Education.
I'll second that.
It has been motioned and second. Is there any other nominations or discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the district's legal counsel. Dr. Thompson.
For numerous years, the district's primary legal counsel has been provided via the attorneys at Perry Law Firm. We continue to be satisfied with their advice and performance. Therefore, I recommend that we continue to use their services on an as-needed basis. Other legal firms may be used from time to time for special cases that require specialized expertise.
Make a motion to approve Perry Law Firm as district's legal counsel.
I'll second the motion.
It has been motioned and second for Perry, to approve Perry Law Firm. Is there any other nominations or discussion? If not, please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
The next item, discuss, consider, and take action to approve board committee assignments. This will be a long one as we go through. There's lots of different committees. Some of them have requirements based on your president or non-vice president. So we'll go through these and speak up if you have strong feelings one way or the other. If you want to be on something, well, please speak up so we can get the correct people on the committees. And kind of an equitable amount, so people all have the equitable same amount of committees possible. Our first one, well, we go in negotiations committee. Right now we have Tom Stanton has requested for this one. Is there any other buddy that'd like to be on negotiations? Or maybe we should back up and do the ones that we have to have, like finance and facilities. They need to have the president and the vice president and one other member. So that would put Tom and I on finance and facilities.
I think Steve McNally, I've been on it for 2 years. Steve, if you're willing to be on finance and facilities, that'd be great.
Yes, I would like to.
Okay, then we will have finance and facilities, the three people, Tom, Brenda, and Steve McNally. Then the other one that requires superintendent evaluation, we need Tom, Brenda, and one other. And we've had Terry express interest or Dr. Patty Goebbels express interest on this one.
Dr. Goebbels, I just gave up a spot.
I think it'd be all right if we had Terry, because I know Patty's strong in curriculum policy and government relations, so if we, gave the superintendent evaluation to Terry. Terry, I, and Tom, is that okay?
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Let me see. Policy, there's been a lot of people that have asked for policy.
So sorry,
Go-
didn't mean to interrupt. For
Yep.
curriculum, we're heavy. We have 4 there, which I'm willing to step back from that. But we didn't have anyone sign up for civics. And I know previously we had basically those 2 meetings are bundled together. So it would make sense that it's the same people for both those 2 committees.
You were right, Tom. So for curriculum, it would be Steve, Dr. Goebbels, and Cindy Booth. Is that okay with Steve and Patty?
Yes.
Okay,
And then those 2 go on civic as well, or 3?
those 3, yes.
So I could step back from policy, and originally hadn't said that I would continue on activities just because I had said I would prefer to do a couple other ones, but I'd be willing to stay on that one if that helps resolve the issue.
And go off of policy, Tom?
Does it matter if we'd have the same 3 people on policy and curriculum and civics?
I wouldn't see any conflict there.
They probably all work together, just as long as everything's communicated to the other board members with what's going on. And we've been getting good notes on what's going on in committees.
And I think there's been a couple times in committee meetings this year where we've looked at stuff and said, I think we need to take this to the whole board before we even make a decision. So I feel like we have a little bit of coverage there.
What do you think, Patty?
I don't have an issue with it, other than I think it's great for board members to work with different people as much as possible. I would just make that comment. I mean, I'm fine to leave it that way, but I really see that you learn a lot more about other board members by working with them on committees. And if you're always working with the same people, then you don't have that opportunity.
I think that's why we switch them up every year. I think we try and, as you know, we try and get everybody to work together.
With Cindy not being here, she can't speak for herself, too, which makes it more difficult.
So we're on policy. Cindy is on it, wants to stay on it. Tom, what did you just say? You'd step back and stay on activities?
Right. When I had filled this out, I said that I didn't necessarily have to stay on activities, so I didn't put myself down for it. Originally, I did want to stay on policy. I didn't realize we were going to have 5 people that wanted that. So I would be willing to step down from that committee. However, that still leaves us with 4. So we still have to have 1 more person be removed from that committee.
So the only thing that I don't have a problem with Dr. Goebbels serving on other committees. I don't have, sorry about that, getting used to it. Problem on serving on any of the other committees, but I know the Government Relations Committee is, held during the winter months when the legislature is in session is very important. I travel extensively this winter especially, so that would be a problem for a committee. So I guess I'm wondering if I were not to serve on policy, what other committee?
Negotiations, Steve?
That's not filled yet. When is the time frame for negotiations?
That's in the fall.
Yeah, starts the 1st of November, and could be done before Christmas, but could go until February. It just depends on how long it takes us.
Again, I'd be available for that. I know I also talked to Cindy a little bit, and she said that she'd also be willing to step down from policy if it was, if that was moving things around. So I don't really want to speak for her officially since she's not here. We kind of had that conversation that she'd be willing to move around off that one as well.
Okay,
I'd definitely be able to serve on negotiations if that's what we determine we want to do.
yeah, if that would work, then you would have 4 committees. Steve, you'd have curriculum, finance, civics, and negotiations. Those 4, is that okay
That's-
with you?
That's fine with me.
Will you jump back on policy?
Yeah, I'll stay on policy, that's fine.
Okay.
So Steve McNally and Cindy Booth are going off policy?
Cindy'd be on it, though.
Cindy'd be on.
She'd still stay on.
So it'd be Tom, Patty Goobels, and Cindy Booth on policy.
Okay, thanks.
And government relations, then we would have Patty and,
Looks like Tom is on
Tom?
there.
Is that okay with you, government relations, or do you want activities? Which one would you prefer?
I'm more than happy to take more committees than an even split, if that's what needs to happen. I very much do want to serve on the Government Relations Committee. And like I said, I'd be happy to stay on activities as well, if no one else wants to fill that.
Well, we'll put you on government relations for the time being. So we have Patty and Tom on government relations. Superintendent evaluation, Tom and I, and then Terry, do you want to be on superintendent evaluation?
Yep, I think we already talked about that one. Yep.
Did we have a third for government relations? I have Tom and Patty.
You're
Yeah,
right.
we need one more.
One more.
Do you guys want me to stay on it?
Join on government relations.
I'll let you do that.
Okay. Okay, superintendent evaluation, which you cited was Terry, Tom, and Brenda. Activity, Brenda and Terry. Is that okay, Terry, with activities?
Yes, I'm good with that.
Okay. And we need one more.
Steve?
No, Steve's at 4. Yeah, and Patty has 4.
Tom's, he'd serve on that too.
I think that puts me at 5, but I'm willing to do it.
Okay, because we don't meet that often.
Yeah, that's not usually activities isn't a big lift.
Right.
Okay, so that'll stay the same, Brenda, Tom, and Terry. Staff member of the month. Can I give that to Cindy? Right now, I have Cindy just as curriculum and policy. And I also see she's at district wellness. Does anybody else want staff member of the month?
I will do it if nobody else wants it.
If Cindy doesn't want it, can we switch it? I suppose we have to make a motion to switch it, right?
Yeah, because right now I have Cindy for curriculum, policy, and district wellness. You guys, is that what you have? I have those 3 for Cindy. Okay.
I'd say Dr. Goopels could do that if she's volunteering.
So then you would have 5. Your staff member of the month, too.
And really, I'm fine with that because the American civics is really pretty much rolled into curriculum anyway, so that's really almost like one committee as opposed to two.
Okay.
And we still need one more for negotiations, correct? I have Tom and Steve.
Terry,
Terry, yeah, you've got,
you'd be good.
you've only got two.
I
Yeah.
was trying to do.
Trying to look away.
I knew I was the target. I knew I was the target. I would gladly accept that committee.
Okay, so can I go run through your names, what I have for your committees, and correct me if I'm wrong? So, Tom Stanton, I have you for negotiations, curriculum, finance and facility, no curriculum? Okay, sorry. Okay, negotiations, finance and facilities, policy, government relations, and activities.
Right, it's superintendent evaluation.
So you got 6.
I'm fine with that if everyone else is.
Well, we'll go through. Terry, I have you for superintendent evaluation, activities, and negotiations.
And activities.
Yeah, 3. So superintendent, activities, and negotiations.
Correct.
Okay. For Brenda, I have finance facilities, superintendent eval, activities, foundation liaison, government relations. Steve McNally, I have curriculum, finance and facilities, civics, and negotiations. Cindy, I have curriculum, policy, and district wellness. And Patty, I have curriculum, curriculum, policy, government relations, civics, and staff member of the month. Okay. That's what I was wondering, yeah, Cindy's on civics too. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Tom, I have you down for 6. Yeah, well, correct, negotiations, superintendent evaluation, finance and facility, policy, government relations, and activities.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Well, Terry's got 3. Brenda's got 5. Finance, superintendent eval, activities, foundation, government relations. Steve's got 4, curriculum, finance, negotiations, civics. Cindy's got 4, curriculum, civics, policy, and district wellness. And Patty's got 5, curriculum, civics, policy, government relations, staff member of the month. Staff member of the month is not a whole lot of work, right? I was trying to think work-wise, are we kind of,
We meet 5 times a year, and it's less than a half an hour, but it's a fantastic committee.
well, it's be a fun committee, it's all good
It's all
times.
positive.
Dr. Goebbels, are you on? Did you end up taking that one? Or did we leave Cindy out? Okay.
Is there any other changes that want to be made? Any questions, comments? Steve, you okay with curriculum, finance? That always meets before our board meeting here. Curriculum, civics go together. And negotiations is in the fall.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Can I read them by committee so I make sure that I have my list right? 'Cause
Good idea.
Last time I was confused, so I want to make sure I have them right. Okay, negotiations, I have Tom, Steve, Terry. Curriculum, Steve, Patty, Cindy. American civics, Steve, Patty, Cindy. Finance and facilities, Brenda, Tom, Steve. Policy, Tom, Patty, Cindy. Government Relations, Tom, Patty, Brenda. Superintendent Evaluation, Brenda, Terry, Tom. Activities, Brenda, Terry, Tom. Staff Member of the Month, Patty. Foundation, Brenda. And District Wellness, Cindy.
Let's make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the committees as presented.
Second the motion?
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion or questions, comments? Oh, was that an O you wanted to speak, or O?
Yeah, actually, I do have a couple of things. Maybe we go ahead and vote, and then I need to set up a couple of meetings real quick.
Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, so government relations people, Tom, Patty, and Brenda. You are invited, but do not have to attend. It's up to you. The chamber has a government affairs meeting every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. that you can attend in person or via Zoom. Senator Dover Zooms in with us and gives us an update on what's going on in the legislative session, and we're able to ask questions and give input. We have a GNSA, Greater Nebraska Schools Association, business meeting from 3:30 to 4:30, Wednesday, January 15th at the Cornhusker Hotel in Lincoln, followed by a senator social from 5 to 7, and Senator Dover has confirmed that he is planning to attend. And there is an NASB Legislative Issues Workshop, January 26th, starting at 6 p.m. and going through January 27th, 8 a.m. to 1:30. If you're able to attend, Callan can get you signed up for that. And then after this meeting, we need to set up our first meeting because bill introduction ends the 23rd, and we will need to set up a lengthy meeting, probably at least 2 hours, to go through the bills related to education and decide if we're going to be proponents, opponents, or neutral, and whether we want to go in person to testify or send written testimony. Okay, so we'll meet after that to do that. And then policy committee, Tom, Patty, and Cindy. Oops, she's not here. We have a meeting set for January 24th to go through the next round of policies. That's at 9 o'clock. Does that work for the two of you who are here? And Cindy was on that committee, so she would have been planning on it.
I think that's why we had those meetings on Friday
Yeah.
mornings, was to accommodate her.
Yeah, I think so too. And the other committees' meeting times are not as critical. I'll get those set up as needed, but these ones were pretty timely and urgent.
Dr. Thompson, do you need RSVPs for the meeting coming up, or just, okay? I'm
Yeah, the
planning-
GNSA one on the 15th and the NASB Legislative Issues Workshop on the 26th and 27th.
I am planning to go to the one on Wednesday, and I'm already registered for the Legislative Issues Conference.
Perfect, thank you.
Move on to 7.4, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the district's depository banks. Eric Wilson.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a resolution, read it here, that has to be filed every year. Be resolved that the official depository of school funds for Madison County School District 59-0002 is hereby designated to be Bank First, Elkhorn Valley Bank and Trust, Midwest Bank, and Nebraska Liquid Asset Fund, and that the designation of any other institution as a depository of school funds is hereby withdrawn. Bank First will be the primary depository for the general fund. Midwest Bank will be the primary depositor for the bond fund, special building fund, and depreciation fund. Elkhorn Valley Bank and Trust will be the primary depository for all other funds, and Nebraska Liquid Asset Fund will serve as a depository for cash reserves in the general, bond, QC Puff, special building, and depreciation funds.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution regarding the district's depository banks.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you. 7.5, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the Norfolk Daily News as a district's newspaper of record. Dr. Thompson.
Historically, we have used the Norfolk Daily News as our newspaper of record. This is where we publish public notices, RFPs, etc.
I'll make a motion to approve the Norfolk Daily News as the district's newspaper of record.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the district's credit card and fleet card designations. Eric Wilson, please.
Thank you, Madam President. According to Board Policy 3130, the Board of Education shall be presented annually the list of recommended card assignments that have the authority to use school district-issued credit cards and purchasing cards. The credit cards are issued through Bank First. All credit cards have the school district name and card number on them, as well as the individual's name. The District Voyager fleet cards for fuel can only be used by organizations that qualify for state fuel rate. These cards are also numbered with the school district name on them. All cards are initially checked out through the business office and returned to the business office when they expire or a listing assignment is no longer needed in the district.
Make a motion to approve the district's credit cards and fleet card designations.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
8, approval of the current board policies 3010 and 3120 related to business operations. Dr. Thompson.
Norfolk Public Schools reviews policies on a 4-year rotation in order to ensure that they are kept current. The only policies up for approval tonight are policies 3010 through 3120 related to business operations. There have been no changes to these policies since their first reading. Those policies are listed below.
I move to approve the second and final reading of board policies 3010 through 3120 related to business operations.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Designation of the date for the annual review of the Board of Education policies. Dr. Thompson.
In addition to our 4-year policy review rotation, an additional policy update is completed each summer following the Nebraska legislative session to address any changes required due to new statutes. This date is tentatively set for July 14th, 2025.
A motion to designate July 14th, 2025 for our annual review of board policies.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Can I ask why July 14th? What, is that a special day?
It's just the July board meeting. The legislative session will get over the beginning of June, so our attorney anticipates that we will not get our updates until mid to end of June. By the time we have a chance to review them, it's going to be July at the earliest.
Thank you. Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Dissemination of conflict of interest policies and statutes. Dr. Thompson.
State statutes require that school board members disclose any conflicts of interest that they may have related to contracts and employment issues, as well as any other matters that may have a financial impact on the board member or his or her family. The procedures for conflict disclosure and reporting have been provided to all board members for their review. All board members understand their duty to disclose potential conflicts of interest and refrain from voting on such items. Potential items that may be a conflict include reimbursement of expenses and the payment of wages for activity workers. Our finance office will notify board members if such items appear on the monthly claims and assist them in preparing a conflict of interest disclosure statement.
And Dr. Thompson and Kellen are always really good. If we have a conflict of interest, there'll be a sheet laying here on your spot for you to sign, and you just read it as is. So they do all the work and deciding whether we have a conflict of interest and let us know. Thank you. Next, we'll go to presentations. Special recognition, focus on the students. We have the Junior High Student Council with us tonight.
Appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bo Vergitz. I am the building principal at the junior high. It is my honor to introduce Mr. Austin Bruning and some of our representatives from the Junior High Student Council. Mr. Bruning is an 8th grade social studies teacher for us at the junior high and has done a phenomenal job leading the junior high student council group, and I want to thank him for being here tonight, along with our students who, some of them just came from wrestling, so it's been a little bit of a day for them already, and we appreciate their patience in being here this evening. So without further ado, Mr. Bruning.
Well, thank you very much. And yeah, we're very happy to be here. We're going to show a little bit of the projects and things that we get up to at the junior high with student council. So without further ado, thank you. I'm just going to pass the mic down, then we can kind of just introduce ourselves in the order that we're kind of standing here. So like you said, I'm Austin Bruning. I'm also an 8th grade American Studies teacher.
I'm Kiara Monroe. I'm the 8th grade student council leader.
My name is Kyra Mook. I'm the 8th grade student council treasurer.
My name is Melanie Russell, and I'm the 8th grade student council representative.
My name is Yendra Orta Armas, and I'm the student council secretary.
My name is Julissa Pena, and I'm the 8th grade representative.
My name is Josh Samari, and I'm the 8th grade representative.
Back and forth. All right, so quickly about ours, kind of a mission statement that we have on the first meeting, basically slideshow that I tell them, hey, you guys should join student council. So our student council is a dedicated group of volunteers within Norfolk Junior High, working collaboratively to foster student expression and support student affairs and activities. Through our efforts, we create opportunities for students to develop leadership skills while strengthening relationships between students, faculty, and the wider community.
How it starts. At the beginning of the year, we start with an interest meeting and go from there. Today, we have around 30-ish members. When we meet each Wednesday after school for a short time to plan and brainstorm for our next project. We choose Wednesday because it's easy and it's a time for people who are involved in sports and arts to meet before their practices or rehearsals. Projects we choose, anything that we think will benefit our student body, staff, or community. We do a wide variety of projects all year.
During the pep rally, we had dress-up days. For homecoming week, we did dress-up days that were voted on by our student council members, and some also made them and presented them. And then for our pep rally, we created and ran games. We had our jazz band play for us, and the administrators were paid by high map scores. We also came up with games for students and teachers to play.
So for the dance, we get to vote on the theme. We promote before the event with putting posters around the school and decorating backdrops and painting banners, and then we set them all around the cafeteria and the gym. We buy decorations that are within our budget, and we get to set up a concession stand, and we only charge $3 to get in, so that's the event that raises the most amount of money, and that's what helps us to fund all our other projects throughout the year.
So we started a landscaping project at the junior high. So everybody knows the classic doughboy statue that we have out front. And it kind of had gotten to be, it was right outside my classroom window. So I kind of saw it every day and thought we should do something about that. So slowly but surely we did. And if you want to click on that link even too, no, you're good. You can scroll through pretty quick. It's just, oh, never mind, you cannot do that. So it's just, we started doing some things and clearing it out, and we've done that over the last 2 years. So it's kind of a slow but moving project and something that we kind of taken on our own. So we're gonna make sure that it stays up and nice throughout the year. So kind of putting in the different blooms of maroon tulips too, that everybody kind of had a fun time doing. It took way too long. But yes, that's one of those projects.
We set up a table during lunch periods to ask students to take the pledge not to do drugs for Red Ribbon Week. We cut out hundreds of red slips of paper for them to sign. We then made a paper chain that went out around the cafeteria. We also hosted a door decorating competition for ELOs. It had to go along with National Red Ribbon Week theme, Life is a Movie, Film Drug-Free. Mrs. Milliken's ELO won with a Hocus Pocus theme.
We also did a Veterans Day program. The student council members introduced speakers and ran the event pretty smoothly. We had a veteran/NPS staff member speak to us about their time in the military. We also shared a little about the history of Veterans Day and how to honor them by thanking them, writing cards, and being thankful for all they've done for us and this country. We also asked the Boy Scouts to present the flags, and we asked the choir to sing and the orchestra played. Towards the end of the year, or for the year, we had like a really busy year working on all of our projects, and we put a lot of work into them. At the end of the semester, we had a pizza party, and we watched a movie, and everyone brought some Christmas treats, and we all brought our own mugs for some hot cocoa.
What's next? The Junior High Student Council will continue to update and better our current projects, look for new and exciting projects each year, continue to provide great leadership opportunities, and continue working collaboratively. One thing we have is Spring Cleanup Day planned for the landscaping areas at the junior high. Spring is also a very busy time, so we have to see what we can do.
So some of these guys, some of our other students that were interested in coming to wrote some quotes just saying what they like about student council. So I'm going to hand it back to these guys and see if theirs is up there. They can read it if they'd like to. You're first.
I like that I have something to do on Wednesdays after school, and that we have so many projects to keep us busy, and we have a good time at school.
My favorite thing in student council is how we get to make a new and considerate image of our school and making new friends as we make people happy.
What I like about student council is that we get to make the decisions for the whole student body and that we get to help on projects for the school.
I said throughout all this time I've been in student council, I think my favorite thing is the people. I've made so many new friends throughout the year in student council that I never imagined I would be friends with. I love all the projects we do and how much teamwork we put into it. We all work together well, and we come up with amazing projects to do to help out our school. Student council made me realize that teamwork is an important factor in working, and you can't always do it by yourself. I'm really happy that I joined student council at the beginning of the year, and I don't regret it.
I said at first, last year when I joined student council, I wasn't quite sure what I was getting into. I quickly came to realize that it was the perfect chance to become a leader and actually have an impact on those around me. I truly have had a lot of fun being able to plan and create things for our student body. Being able to help has honestly really allowed me to feel like I've accomplished something here in the student council. I like the environment, how friendly everyone is, and being able to be a leader in Norfolk Junior High.
And that's about it. So thank you guys for having us.
Thank you. What I like about the junior high student council is we're developing leaders, and they can be leaders at the high school next, and
I was
it's
thinking
good things.
future school board members, right there.
Terry's right,
But
yes.
we're,
yeah.
but we're no men on the student council leadership committee? No men on your student council leadership? And I have a very, very important question. Which ladies just came from wrestling? Oh, look at there. I have a daughter who wrestles at the high school.
Thank you for coming. Award for Excellence. Mrs. Bauman.
Thank you, Madam President. This is the best committee to be on, so those of you that are here will miss out a little bit, but I am excited to get to announce our Award for Excellent recipient for January. So if at this time Teresa Waters could come up here, who is special education teacher at Norfolk Middle School. She was not super thrilled to know she had to stand up here while I talked about her, but that's what she has earned. So we did have quite a few nominations from Norfolk Middle School staff, and so I'm not going to read through everything, but I have highlighted some of the comments that were made in her nominations, and then I'll give her a copy so she can see all of them. One of her co-teachers said, Teresa goes above and beyond with her students. There is no limit to what she will do to ensure their safety and happiness. Another said, these students are among the most vulnerable, and she strives to teach them life skills that they will take with them long after they leave our building. She is a woman of integrity and strong work ethic. She accomplishes tasks with great initiative and a positive attitude. She has intuitive skills to sense the underlying issues behind a student's behavior and helps them in situations as they occur. And Mrs. Waters will always put her students first. The dedication and positivity that she brings to her classroom is unmatched, and the students and staff at Norfolk Middle School are beyond lucky to have her. And it goes on and on. There were great nominations. It's always so refreshing to read all the nominations that we get and then get to make that selection. So along with her nomination and being the recipient of the award, she's going to get this plaque that I did tell the students she would bring in and show them. She gets a $50 gift card to Hy-Vee to use for her, with her family, for any personal use. And Hy-Vee donates that 5 times a year, so we appreciate them being a partner for us. And then she will get $500 that she will be able to work with Mrs. Brown to spend on something for Norfolk Middle School and the students at the middle school. And I would assume her students were already brainstorming how to spend that money. Mrs. Brown, would you like to come up and say a few words?
You. I would just like to thank Mrs. Waters for her dedication to our students. She works so hard every single day and pours her heart and soul into everything that she does and makes sure that her students are just given everything that they need to be successful in the classroom and in life. And we just really, really appreciate you. Your students have made a video for you, and we're going to show that right now. So if we can play that video, we have a little something for you from your students.
Mrs. Waters, you earned an award. Good job, Mrs. Waters. Thank you for the best teacher ever. Love, Bree.
Congratulations, Mrs. Waters.
Yo.
She helps us read the map. Hi. Hi, Miss Waters. Have a good day. You are the awesome teacher that holds my leg.
All right, congrats, Mrs. Waters. Thank you for everything that you do for me. You are the best teacher ever. Love. Love Keegan.
I love you, Mrs. Waters. You're the best teacher ever.
All right, we have Riker here. Mrs. Waters, congrats on your award. Thank you for your humor, patience, and love. You're the best teacher ever. Go.
Congratulations, Miss Waters. Congratulations. Congratulations, Mrs. Waters. Mrs. Waters. We love you, Mrs. Waters.
So congratulations, Mrs. Waters. We just appreciate everything that you do. Are from you for Mrs. Gruber. She wanted me to give them. Thank you.
And now you have the opportunity to speak if you would like, but I should have given you that opportunity before the video. I apologize for going in the wrong order.
I mean, who couldn't love teaching every day with smiles like that? And I want to say thank you to the team that has surrounded me. This is not fair. That has surrounded me at the middle school, the leadership and the support from my co-teacher, Mr. Mercy, administration, the special ed team. It's just been amazing. I came from, this is year number 20-something, I've lost track, and I came to this district last year, had Mr. Hughes, and I told him, I said, I don't know if I'm ready to be done or continue, and he just guided me in a path that made me fall in love with teaching all over again. So thank you to all of you for this. Yes, I'm very uncomfortable, and yes, you're right. But thank you so much. Thank you.
Congratulations. I knew you'd want to.
Congratulations, Mrs. Waters.
Oh, don't sit down yet, Mrs. Waters. Now's the time where I teach you the secret handshake for being in this club. So, no, I'm just kidding. You know, a year ago when we hired you, sometimes you don't know what you get. But everybody that I talked to said you were one of the best. And there wasn't a day that went by that they were ever proven wrong. You truly are in it for kids. You have a heart of gold. And I loved seeing what you did with our kids every single day. It is awesome. Now's the time where I get to tell a bunch of stories. No, I'm just kidding on that too. But you are one of the best, and I am glad you are here with us in Norfolk Public Schools. And thank you for everything that you've done.
And
Thank you.
before our board president moves on, you're welcome, all friends and family of Mrs. Waters, to stay for the entirety of the board meeting. But if you'd like to go and celebrate, you're welcome to leave.
Yes, we will now move on to 11.3, Computer Science and Personal Finance Presentation. Mr. Oswald.
Thank you, Madam President. We've done a couple of these, and I feel like they're always really tough acts to follow. So we need to think about the order in which we do this. I don't know. I don't think we can bring any of you to tears with our financial literacy or computer science information, but we'll do our best. So in December, we gave to the board the first report of how we are meeting the Financial Literacy Act. That was the first time we were required to do that, but we will do that from every year moving forward. And so we thought instead of just giving you that information, we could give you a little bit more information on how we're meeting the Financial Literacy Act and what that is. And then also going along with that, there was another law enacted a year later, the Computer Science and Technology Education Act. And so we thought that those two things would be good information to give to the board. And so we're going to do that tonight. And to help me, I have Mickey Mueller, who is our Education Technology Facilitator, but also our Career and Technical Ed expert in our office. And then we have Mr. Settles, our senior high principal, as well as a few teachers from the senior high to help us present some of this to you. So with that, I'll let Mickey get us going.
Thank you, Jared. So yeah, we're going to talk about two pieces of legislation that were signed into law very recently. And we like to refer to these as unfunded mandates, because at the time that they were passed and signed into law, there were no funds attached to them. So the legislature is saying you have to do this, but they're not giving us any funds in order to do it. And you'll see with both of these acts, the district was required to spend money to meet this piece of legislation in both instances. One was pretty expensive, one was kind of expensive, but it was still money that the district was not intending to spend when these bills were signed into law. The other point that we want to make with these things is a lot of times we hear from members of the public, sometimes during public comment, that the district should just go back to teaching the basics. That's all we need to spend our time on. And we need the public to understand that legally, that is not possible. We are required to teach a whole variety of things, and so we can't just teach reading and math. We have to teach whatever the legislature is telling us that we have to teach. And these are two of the most recent acts that we need to be sure that we're fulfilling. So the first one is the Financial Literacy Act. This was signed into law in 2021. And what pieces of the legislation was determined that we needed to have a graduation requirement, 5 credit hours of financial literacy instruction. And that took place, the first graduating class that had to have that was in 2024. So our most recent graduates had to graduate with 5 credit hours of a financial literacy class. It also dictates that we need to have financial literacy instructions all the way through K-8, in addition to the high school credits. And we have to give a financial literacy status report annually, which you heard in the December meeting. In the legislation, it defines what financial literacy is. And so these are things that you're thinking of when you think of financial literacy. Your banking, your record keeping, doing a budget, monitoring credit, debt, all of those things go into that. So because of this legislation, we needed to have a graduation requirement. We were already teaching personal finance as part of our business curriculum at the senior high, and that personal finance class has now become a graduation requirement. This set into a whole lot of planning when you have to get a class through one particular class. So Mr. Settles is here, and I'm going to let him talk about the implications that adding an additional graduation requirement causes for the senior high.
Thank you. I think it is important that everybody understands, what it looks like when you essentially take these laws and they become standards, and then we take that all the way through to where our students are enrolled in these classes and taking them. And so we did offer a personal finance class before. It was an elective within our business department. And so that gave us a good start. We did have to go through, the full curriculum process to update that course to make sure that it met all the standards that were contained within what was required for us by the state of Nebraska. So then when we were onboarding this, we did have a little bit of a grace period, as we certainly had people who were graduating the year of the enactment of the law. So we had to not only compensate for getting students through this, but we also had to put together basically a rollout plan to get all the students onboarded and into these classes and through these classes with the support that they needed by the time that they would graduate within their 4-year cohort. So that usually, when we talk about offering a class to an entire class, we usually talk about it needing 12 to 14 sections. And since personal finance is a semester course, that meant that realistically, if a teacher has 6 duty periods during the day, they would have 12 duty periods in an entire year or 6 a semester. And so we were looking at something to where we were either going to have to radically change what we were already doing within our business department. We had already established a lot of career academies and other opportunities for students. And so that's where we knew that we were going to have to add a teacher. Realistically, this one teacher could teach personal finance all day, every day, both semesters. That's how much personal finance we needed to teach in order for us to get all of our students through this requirement. The other side of this is that we've made a commitment years ago that any course that's required for graduation, we will provide special education support to our special education students who certainly have to take this course and get through it in order to graduate, and also our ELL students, so students who have needs in the area of translation or other assisted technology to get them through these classes. And so there's a lot of coordinating efforts that not only go along with offering these courses, but also putting in place the support services that are necessary to allow our students to move through these courses and finish them and graduate on time. So we were very supportive of these standards. We do think it's something that's really important to do. The other day I was observing a class, saw students going through working on doing a personal tax return. So that is something that obviously is really important to learn how to do. And so they were working through that. Not something that is easy. We also offer personal finance in the summer in order to give other opportunities for students to take this and still have room in their schedule for other courses. And so overall, it has been a positive experience to have this be something that students do need to learn to graduate from Norfolk High School. It's very important that they learn these things, but it has been a large commitment on behalf of the district and the high school in general to make sure that the right resources are in place for students to be successful with this. So it's just a little bit of insight into what it takes in order to take these laws that go to standards and then actually turn them into the classes that students are taking. So thank you very much.
So we thought we'd give you a taste of some of the a standard and some of the learning targets that are contained within this course. And to speak to this, we actually have one of our personal finance teachers here. We have 3 different business teachers at the high school who are teaching personal finance. Nikita Benton is one of our newest business teachers, and we're really lucky to have Nikita because she actually worked in the business world for several years before she joined us at the high school. So she's got a really unique perspective and can really help our students talking about how these things will actually apply in the real world. So Nikita?
I wrote this out so I won't forget anything, hopefully. I just want to say thank you first for the opportunity to speak with you on behalf of the business department today. So as Mickey mentioned, prior to teaching, I was in the business world. I actually worked in a bank for nearly 7 years, immediately before transitioning into teaching, and I've witnessed firsthand how crucial financial literacy is for our students' futures. With the new Nebraska law requiring students to pass personal finance before graduation, we have an incredible opportunity to ensure that every student is prepared for the financial decisions that they will inevitably face as adults. During my time in banking, I was surprised by how many adults of all ages, but especially our young adults, didn't know how to do basic things like write checks, manage a checking account, read bank statements, deal with issues like fraud, or even understand how to get a loan. These are basic skills that, if taught early on, can help our students to avoid common financial mistakes in the future. Our personal finance class teaches students how to manage their money effectively, which is a skill that they will use every day. Through practical lessons, they'll gain an understanding of topics like saving strategies, making short-term and long-term goals, understanding the importance of building an emergency fund, budgeting, investing, types of credit, managing credit, how to pay for college, career planning, understanding your income and the benefits that come with that, taxes, insurance, preventing identity theft, and much more. In our classrooms, we often use real-world scenarios to bring these topics to life. For example, we have students choose a career that they're interested in and then research the average income for that career. They then use that income to budget for expenses, which teaches them how to prioritize their needs over their wants and make more secure financial decisions. We also have students compare insurance options and select the best plan for their needs, as well as practice reading and writing on tax forms. So in conclusion, personal finance education is more than just a requirement. It's an investment in our students' futures. We're empowering them with the tools to succeed in life, ensuring that they don't just survive, but thrive financially. I'm proud and grateful to be part of this program, and we look forward to continuing to serve our students as they develop their skills needed to manage money and make better financial decisions in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikita. So in addition to the high school requirement, the law also states that we have to provide financial literacy instruction K-8. So how we are meeting that, in kindergarten through fourth grade, they chose an economics standard out of the social studies standards. So economics is a strand within the social studies standards. And so they chose an economic standard that deals with personal or financial literacy from that. In grades 5 and 6, it's actually included in our STEAM class with Mr. Dreyer, and he does a unit on budgeting and that kind of thing in that class. At the junior high level, we offer an elective exploratory business class. We also do cover some of the economic standards within their social studies classes as well. So that is how we are dealing with the Financial Literacy Act. The next unfunded mandate that we would like to talk about is LB 1112. This is the Computer Science and Technology Education Act. So right on the heels of the Financial Literacy Act, the legislature got us again, and this law was signed into 2022. This actually becomes a graduation requirement for the class that will graduate in 2028, which, if anybody's keeping a track, is this year's freshmen. And it also requires that we include computer science and technology instruction, K-8, and you will, starting next year, in 2025, you will also have a status report annually, just like you did for the personal finance or the financial literacy report. So within the scope of the legislation, they defined what computer science and technology is. So you can see that there's a wide range of things that are included in this: computer literacy, educational technology, digital citizenship, information technology, and computer science are all included within this legislation. So in this instance, we were already teaching a required computer class. Information Technology Applications 1 is required for graduation. It has been required for graduation for years. And it's a semester class that we teach at the 9th grade level. And so what we chose to do to meet this requirement is we've adjusted the standards within that class to include computer science. And tonight we have our two teachers who are responsible for teaching information technology. Lance Cush and Eric Brandel are here, and they're going to talk a little bit more about how they are addressing computer science.
Thanks, Mickey. First off, thanks to Jared, Mickey, and Jason for giving us time for us to come over here and work, especially this semester. Being new to both of us, that time that we've had has really helped us. Like you said, we've been teaching this for a long time together, and when they brought the computer science in, we've talked a lot. We've worked a lot this semester, or I should say last semester, to align it to our standards. And I think the biggest thing that we're seeing, we've heard the word variety, and it really does bring a variety of new things into our class. For us, it's definitely taken a little time to learn what we want to teach. And the program that we're using is codehs.com. And I know there was some money spent with that too, but it's really helped us with being able to change things in the program that you can't do when it's a free program. For example, you're able to go through, I'll use programming for example. There's a lot of modules in there that are intermediate to really advanced, and we've made it through a lot of them, but we're able to actually go in, they call it forking, a quiz where we can actually pull questions from the original one that meet the standards aligned to Nebraska. So it's been really positive. Only teaching it right now for that first semester, some of the feedback from students, and I think they'd tell you the same, is they really enjoyed the programming part probably more than the other pieces that we worked on because of the challenge. I think I had a dozen students from the first semester asking for more by the time we got done. We made it through, like I said, a large part of it, but they wanted to go on, and some of them went on and actually completed more than they had to. And even when we got through it, they said, "What's next?" And the nice part is Northeast Community College, they come down and they do a programming class as well, which we're hoping that those students feed into that, and eventually we'll see them out in the community, because I know there's a shortage of programmers out there and other jobs too. as my wife works in that field, like she said, we do need more of those people. And I think that's been a really positive impact to see the students wanting more at the end.
Sorry, that's loud. One thing that Lance and Mickey did not talk about when this first got passed by the legislature, we thought we were set. We'd been teaching this class for, this is my 12th year, and at the time it was about 10 years I'd been teaching it. We thought we had everything set. We found out roughly last year, August, so August 23 of, oh no, these are going to be your new standards. And so for the last year and a half, we've been scrambling, just trying to get everything figured out what we needed to do. And like Lance said, thank you, Jared and Mickey, for meeting with us here at Central Office to help us plan everything out, get everything worked on. One line that is on there also, about 2-3 years ago, we met in this room with a lot of community members, our business community members, and they said, and we went through the curriculum with them, and they said, no matter what you need to do, you have to keep the Excel. So even though the Excel is not directly in the standards, our community members stated we needed to keep it because it is so important in the business world. It's so important because it's wrapped into every little part of their jobs with computer science. So we made sure that we have kept that in there. We've made other adjustments. We think it's going good. We'll find out more here in May as we finish up with this first group overall.
So we thought we'd give you a taste of the computer science standards, or an example standard and learning target. And when we say computer programming or computer coding, I don't know how much that means to a lot of you. So we also thought we would just show you a short demonstration of what computer coding is. And this is an example of what our students are doing in this particular class. As Lance mentioned, we're using a platform called CodeHS, and we went with CodeHS because they are directly aligned to the Nebraska State standards. And so again, that was a piece that was not something that we were planning on purchasing, but we did have to purchase that platform in order for us to be able to meet this particular requirement. So we'll play the short video.
In our second example, we want to draw the X and Y axis on our canvas. First, I want Tracy to draw the Y axis. So I'm going to tell her to turn left 90, so she's facing up. I need her to move forward 200 to get to the top of the canvas. Let's see how that works. She's going to the right location, but I don't want her to leave a trail yet, so I'm going to use the pen up command before moving her. I also noticed that she moved to the right location, but she's still facing up, and I need her to face down. So I'm going to use the right 90 command 2 times. So she will face directly down. Now I want her to draw a line straight down to the bottom of the canvas. So I'm going to use the pen down command and then use forward 400 to move her to the end. Let's try that. Perfect. After she gets to the bottom, I need her to move to the left-hand side to draw the x-axis, but I want to make sure she doesn't leave a trail. So I'm going to write pen up and then turn her so she's facing the left side. So I'll write right 90 and make her move forward 200. Let's check that she's heading the right direction. Perfect. Now I need her to turn right 90 again and move forward 200 to get to the middle of the left side. She's still facing up though, so I'm going to use right 90 once more to have her face right. The last thing she needs to do is draw the x-axis line. So I'm going to use pen down and then forward 400. Let's see the whole code together. Beautiful. In this lesson, we learned how to turn Tracy using the left and right commands. Put all the commands you've learned so far together to solve the next coding exercises.
So that's an example of the platform that students are using, and that's an example of coding if you have never experienced coding before. In addition to the high school requirement, we are also required to have computer science and technology in education instruction K-8. We are already doing that before this act was, this bill came out. In K-4, our students are coding in their, are working with technology in their media classes. This is an example. These are two this is several years old, so these guys are probably fourth graders by now, but these were kindergartners, and they were coding the B-bot to go up the number line. In a 5-6 class, or in the middle school, we're doing that in our STEAM class, and at our junior high, we have an exploring technology class that's an elective, but really technology is in every class, in every building in our district. So that's how we're meeting that particular requirement. And then, so as I said, these are unfunded mandates. We have to do them, but they didn't give us any funds to do that. So Senator Walls out of Fremont last year, she is a former educator. She and some other senators tried to come together to get some money to fund some of these things. And so LB 1284 created the Computer Science and Technology Education Fund. There was several different pieces of things in there. It included the Teach in Nebraska Act. It included dyslexia research, professional learning, and reading coaches were all included in this 1284. But the Computer Science and Technology Education Fund has been created because what they realized is, and Lance mentioned this, coding is not something a lot of our technology teachers do, and so they realized that they didn't have teachers that were available that were qualified to teach computer science. And so now, after the fact, they have created a fund that will recruit, train, and support teachers. Now, this was signed into law in 2024, but we still have not had any communication about how we can access these funds or what these funds are for, other than training teachers. So the Code HS platform that we had to purchase would not qualify for reimbursement under this. It's only for teacher training. So once the legislature passes these bills, then that goes to NDE, and they come up with the guidelines on how schools are supposed to implement them. And as Lance, I think, mentioned, or Eric mentioned, sometimes they're not Johnny on the spot and getting us this information, and so sometimes it takes a little bit for them to work through all of the requirements to get the schools the information that they need. So hopefully that gives you some background on some of the things that we are required by law to teach, and we would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
So when you were talking about the state requiring reporting on both is it just the implementation, or what other information are they looking for?
As far as the reporting, it's not really specified. It's an annual report of progress. And for the Financial Literacy Act, that is to just the school board. For the Computer Science and Technology Act, we have to make that report to the school board and to the Department of Ed. And because doesn't have to happen until this year, we haven't received any information as far as what needs to be included in that report, other than it's a report of progress.
Great, thank you. And thank you for presenting this information. I think it's really, really important for people to understand what happens when the state government says you'll do this. And you guys did a great job of explaining the domino effect and how it happened downhill. We had to add, 14 sections of class. That's not a little thing at all. And yes, how's that all going to get paid for? So I think it's really important that people understand that when the government makes those decisions, they've got to understand that there's got to be some extra support there as well.
Not a question, Mickey, but a comment. As a member of the Government Relations Committee, I would suggest that there are going to probably be some bills that are stepping into what local schools do in terms of curriculum again this year. You did such a great job of presenting in terms of the ramifications when you have these unfunded mandates. The senators who are introducing those bills, that education committee, usually they come through education committee, they need to be hearing from schools like ours about what happens and what has to happen in order to fulfill the requirements of the law. So be prepared, Jason.
Thank you, Dr. Goebbels. Yes, it's an important thing because, Senator Walls did have an education background, but so many of the senators do not, and they don't understand the ramifications. Right? You're a good point.
Thank you, Mickey. Thank you to the whole team for presenting tonight. We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
your
us.
time. Our next session is public comments and communication. This is the time during the meeting when the public may request to address the board. According to state law, if you wish to comment, you must identify yourself, including your address, the name of the organization you represent, and the topic you wish to address. Public comment cards are located at the media table in the back of the room. Please pick up a card and provide the required information if you plan to speak. Each individual's comments will be limited to 5 minutes. Please note that the board cannot discuss or act upon matters that are not listed on the agenda. Therefore, board members will not respond to your comments or questions. If you wish to request that an item be placed on a future board agenda, you may contact the superintendent or her assistant during normal business hours. Also note that concerns related to school personnel need to be addressed to the superintendent using the approved district protocol. Individuals who make false, defamatory, or slanderous statements during public comments may be held legally liable. Slanderous comments are not protected just because they are made at board meetings. Additional procedural guidelines are available at the media table. Would anyone like to speak to us tonight? Okay, we will go on to information and discussion items. Finance and Facilities Report, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam President. The total amount of claims to be approved on the consent agenda by specific fund are listed below. General Fund, $265,927.34. Nutrition Fund, $4,138.41. Subsidiary Fund, $4,260.56. Special Building Fund, $743,275.58. Senior High Activity Fund, $42,462.40. Junior High Activity Fund, $2,230.93. Student Fee Fund, $146.98. All of these claims were reviewed earlier by the Finance and Facilities Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Teaching and Learning Report, Mr. Oswald.
Thank you, Madam President. December was an important month for monitoring student progress. Students participated in the NSCAS growth winter testing in ELA and math. Students also participated in MAPS fluency diagnostic testing for reading. My team works very hard to make sure everything is prepared for testing, and they help teachers troubleshoot any issues that arise during that testing window. During January, my team will support both principals and teachers as they analyze the data from the assessments, set goals, and make plans for the second semester. Any questions?
Was it MAPS that we don't get funded for anymore? Is that the one?
We were, so MAPS fluency, we currently do not get any funding for. That's our diagnostic testing and reading in kindergarten through second grade. There is a possibility that that may change with some of the recent grant funding that the state received, but we don't know that yet.
How did the testing go? And technically and...
Well, the technically, we actually, it was pretty smooth. My team's been doing this for a couple years, and so they really have gotten things down pretty well. We had very few issues. I'd have to think back. I think we had one issue early in the window with the technical. I think there was something, one of the systems wasn't working for NWEA. But other than that, I'd say pretty smooth.
Thank you, Mr. Oswald. Student Programs Report, Mary Lure.
Thank you, Madam President. Our English language learner students will be able to begin taking the English Language Proficiency Assessment, also known as the ELPA, from January 27th through March 14th of 2025. This assessment evaluates our students' proficiency in speaking, listening, reading, and writing the English language. Our district special education team will meet on Wednesday, January 22nd. Our special education leadership team will meet this semester to discuss our targeted improvement plan moving forward. Our focus is in the area of reading. Are there any questions?
This assessment, is that where you decide if the ELL test out and they won't need your services anymore?
Yeah, so they take the test from January to March, and then we get the scores back at the beginning of May. And then in the fall, we notify the families and the student if they no longer qualify for ELPA, if they're proficient.
Mary, could you say a little bit more about the targeted improvement plan?
Yeah, so the continuous improvement plan, or our strategic action plans within the district, this falls under just special education, and what we focus on to help reach our targeted, like our one of our strategic action plans is about academic success and our systems of support. So our TIP reflects that, but targets just special education kids.
Thank you, Mary. Student Services Report, Chuck Hughes.
Thank you, Madam President. We've begun to think about kindergarten roundup for next school year. The application process for Lincoln Montessori kindergarten students opened on January 1st. There will be a drawing on April 1st to fill our two sections in that building. We have also started taking registration applications for kindergarten students in their neighborhood elementary schools. Parents must have a birth certificate and copy of immunization records to begin the enrollment process. Kindergarten roundup will take place on April 30th. Preschool registration begins on January 13th, or today, for Little Panthers. The link to the application will be on the website under the Little Panthers tab. Parents without internet access can complete the pre-application by calling 402-371-8030. This is a shared application with Norfolk Public Schools and Norfolk Head Start. And finally, parent-teacher conferences are scheduled for the second week in February. February 10th, we'll have the elementary, middle school, and junior high participating. On February 11th, our elementaries and our high school. On February 12th, we'll have the middle school, the junior high, and the high school. And then finally, on the 13th, the school will be dismissed at 11:30, and all buildings will have parent-teacher conferences.
Thank you. Human Resources and Accreditation. Common.
Thank you, Madam President. Next Monday, on January 20th, MPS will host the ESU 8 Winter Workshop at the senior high. Approximately 20 school districts will gather to listen to keynote speaker Julie Burney, multiple award-winning teacher, humorist, and author. For the remainder of the day, teachers and administrators will have the opportunity to attend 3 different sessions of their choice, choosing from over 75 sessions that cover a wide range of topics. Retirement letters have started to come in, which you will see a little later in the agenda, and recruiting for the 2025-2026 school year is underway. I am scheduled to attend job fairs in January and February to recruit at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, University of Nebraska-Kearney, University of Nebraska-Omaha, Wayne State College, and the South Dakota Teacher Fair, along with several other administrators that will attend with me.
Thank you. Superintendent's Report, Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. I'll start with monthly enrollment. Our September 1st, 2024 enrollment was 4,542, which was 23 students more than our September 1, 2023 count. Our enrollment fluctuated throughout first semester for an overall net increase of 1 student since the beginning of the school year. So it's been pretty steady overall, even though I've reported ups and downs each month. I am excited to announce that we are set to expand our Makerspace programs at all of our elementary schools through several generous community donors, including the Norfolk Public Schools Foundation, the Rudolph Ellis Fund, the Dacos for Good Community Fund, the Connie Fund, and the Norfolk Area Community Foundation Fund. With this funding, every Norfolk Public Schools elementary school will have space and dedicated time for all students to engage with the Makerspace room, encouraging a culture of innovation and hands-on learning across the district. Makerspaces will include various items, including robotics, building systems, and other raw materials purposely chosen to provide hands-on learning experiences and promote science, technology, engineering, art, and math, or STEAM activities. The project will be implemented over a 5-year period, including 4 schools in year 1, the remaining schools in year 2, and the implementation of a STEAM teacher to oversee the curriculum and spaces in years 3 to 5. The total community investment for this project will come to $214,000, with another $107,000 coming from the Norfolk Public Schools Foundation Career Dual Credit Fund and $111,000 coming from existing in-kind staffing funds, which are our Media Paris, and our Coke Fund, for a grand total of $442,000. This is a project that we have been working on for many months, and we are very excited that it has come to fruition. Also, a brief report on our listening sessions. A board member has requested information regarding the listening sessions that I held with staff. I have always reported that back to staff members via superintendent report. I have listed that information for you below, but I'm not going to read through that all.
Well, thank you for doing those listening sessions. I think they are appreciated by staff and the building administration and staff. Thank you. Committee reports. Finance and Facilities report. The Finance and Facilities Committee met earlier today. Board members present were Brenda Carhart and Terry Bauer, and then Steve McNally also joined us. The committee reviewed claims and financial reports. A review of the board agenda items included the board reorganization, bank resolution, credit card designations, and the school psychologist's salary schedule. An update was given on the middle school construction project, which is going really well and ahead of schedule, and the senior high chiller project that will once again go after it warms up a little bit. Other items discussed include an elementary student savings program and a Chromebook purchases. The next Finance and Facilities Committee meeting is scheduled for February 10th, which will include Tom Stanton, Steve McNally, and Brenda Carhart. Questions? Activities Committee report. The Activities Committee met on Friday, January 10th. Mr. Irwin reviewed senior high participation numbers, and Mr. Henricks reviewed junior high participation numbers. This was followed by an in-depth discussion of potential budget cuts for future years in the activities departments, as well as out-of-state travel policy. These recommendations will be forwarded to the Policy Committee for further review. Any questions on this committee? Okay. Consent agenda. Minutes of the previous meeting are attached for your review. Personnel. Resignations. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. I have 5 resignations for your consideration, and these are all retirements at the end of the school year. Cinda Brown, Title I interventionist at Grant Elementary. Josie Johnson, guidance counselor at Lincoln Montessori. Jill Marsden, kindergarten teacher at Lincoln Montessori. Mickey Mueller, education technology facilitator. And Gretchen Vaness, first and second grade teacher at Lincoln Montessori.
Congratulations to all of them, but that's a lot of education and experience walking out the door. Claims. Eric Wilson.
Thank you, Madam President. Attached are the claims. These claims have been reviewed by our Finance and Facilities Committee. There are no conflict statements for this month.
Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any other discussion, questions? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Action items. Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the 2025-26 students and staff calendars. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. I have 2 calendars for your consideration tonight, the 25-26 parent calendar and 25-26 staff calendar. I did forget to attach the calendar guidelines that we look at when we're developing the calendar. So I did put a hard copy of that at your table, and Mr. Wilson will project a copy of that as well. I'm not going to read through all of that, as I know you can all read yourselves, but did want to let you know that each year I take some time and draft, between 1 and 3 different calendars, depending on how the dates fall. It depends on really how many are really possible to make that are reasonable. Then I give those to Mrs. Bauman. She has a calendar committee that's made up of teachers and administrators from across the district. They talk through those, make recommendations. When they have 1 or 2 that they feel comfortable taking back to their buildings, they do that, and they get feedback from their colleagues, come back to the committee. They made a couple of recommendations to me. I made changes. We went back and forth a couple of times, and then this is the end result that you are looking at tonight. In general, according to the negotiated agreement, teachers are required to work 188 contract days. 172 and a half of those are student days, 13 and a half are professional development or work days, and 2 are comp days due to the extra hours that teachers put in for parent-teacher conferences. I try to start school as late as possible in August, but that is pretty hard to do without going past Memorial Day in May. I actually made a calendar this year for staff to see. If I even started school 1 week later, that brought us back after Memorial Day, and they wouldn't even take that back to their building because they were not interested in considering it. So that's how ugly that gets. We always try to end first semester before Christmas because we don't want kids to have to come back after Christmas break to take finals. And we try to keep first and second semester as equitable as possible. Those are the biggest things, but there are a lot of other things to consider there. Graduation traditionally is the Sunday after Mother's Day, and we have people that plan that a year, 2 years in advance, so I really can't mess with that. And then the last day for students needs to be after graduation, but before Memorial Day. So there's just not a lot of room to play with. But if you have questions, I would be happy to try to answer them, or Angie can, based on the feedback that she got from the calendar committee.
A motion to approve the 2025-2026 student and staff calendars.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the 2025-2026 school psychologist salary schedule. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam President. We have struggled to fill our school psychologist positions in the district for the last few years. Through negotiations, we were able to split this group off from the certified teacher salary schedule and create a separate salary schedule that provides a compensation package with better incentives for years of service and staying with the district. This was discussed with our current school psychologists, and they felt this approach could be helpful for recruitment. We've had a couple open positions in that area for a while, so we're optimistic this will make a big difference for us.
And do we currently have someone that's interested in filling one of those?
Yes, we have people who are interested. And this will help in the recruitment process to make us competitive amongst others.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 school psychologist salary schedule.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Last thing, discuss, consider, and take action to grant permission to release an RFP for desktop devices for the district. Mr. Hughes.
He snuck out, so here you go.
Okay, Mr. Wilson.
He's requesting permission to put out an RFP to bidders for our planned purchase of desktop devices. This is part of our 5-year rotation plan, and we have depreciated funds in the past for this purchase. This is only permission to get bids, and he will bring those results of the bids back to the board at a later date for a decision to move forward with the purchase.
What specifically are we talking about? We're talking about desktop computers? We're talking about laptops? Who are
Correct.
they for?
This is for desktop computers for secretaries, those computer science classes we were just talking about, and, drafting classes, all of our hard desktop materials that we have.
And we do that like everything at once, or was there a rotation? Is this one building, 2 buildings?
We'll do all the desktops in the district, so they're all the same. And then in another year or two, you'll see we'll do laptops. So we have a rotation plan set up by our IT department.
This is one of those large purchases that we save up for over the years.
I'll make a motion to grant permission to release an RFP for desktop devices for the district.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Brings us to the end. The second monthly meeting of the Board of Education is scheduled for Friday, January 24th at noon. This is a change from our typical meeting time. The following regular meeting of the Board of Education will be held again on Monday, February 10th, 2025 at 5:30. All components of these meetings will be held in the MPS Central Administration offices and will be open to the public unless an executive session is needed in order to protect the interest of the district or the reputation of an individual. Meeting adjourned.